Hola, ¿qué tal amigos? Buenos días, buenas tardes y buenas noches. No importa la hora que sea, siempre es un gran momento para aprender español con Profesor Pablo. Our lesson today is pedir que plus present subjunctive verb number 8. That is, we will be asking someone to do something. Now let's look at all the different parts. Our first little cluster are the indirect object pronouns. This is the person that is being asked to do something. Me, te, le, nos, os, and les. Os is the vosotros indirect object pronoun. Pedir in the present tense, we know it's a stem changing verb, e to I, except for the nosotros, and of course, except for the vosotros. So it's pido, pides, pide, and piden with the pi, and then it's pedimos and pedis. The vosotros again is here if you need it. We won't be using it in our examples. Pido, pides, pide, pedimos, piden. Also, with the verb pedir, we use very often to say that you're going to ask someone to do something. So that would be voy, vas, va, vamos, vais is the vosotros, and then van, right? And then a pedir. I'm going to ask them to come to the party. Les voy a pedir que vengan a la fiesta. I'm going to ask her to help. Le voy a pedir a ella que ayude. They are going to ask us to pay tomorrow. Nos van a pedir que paguemos mañana. This is very, very common to say that someone is going to ask someone to do something. And we want to make sure that if you're going to use this method and say that you're going to ask someone to do something, you have the choice of putting the pronoun in front of the form of ir that you select, or you can tag it on to the end of pedir. For example, I am going to ask her to help would be le voy a pedir que ayude. Now you could take this le and put it on the end of pedir and just go voy a pedirle que ayude. So when you're using pedir in the infinitive, you have a choice of putting the object pronoun in front of the form of ir that you select or on the end of pedir. But when you are using the conjugated form of pedir, your only location where you can correctly use the indirect object pronoun is in front of the conjugated verb. So just keep that in mind. Another example would be, I'm going to ask him to not say anything. Le voy a pedir que no diga nada, or voy a pedirle, put the le on the end here, voy a pedirle que no diga nada. And this follows the overall rule. If you have a conjugated verb and you have an object pronoun, it must go in front of the conjugated verb. If you have an infinitive, you can put an object pronoun on the end of an infinitive. But here you have a conjugated verb and an infinitive, so you have a choice either to put it in front of the conjugated verb, like we're going to do in most of our examples, but you could also put it on the end of pedir. So just keep that in mind when you hear people say, like, I'm going to ask them to come to the party. Some people might say, voy a pedirles que vengan a la fiesta. Other people, les voy a pedir que vengan a la fiesta. I would recommend to put it in front of the form of ir, just to practice and be consistent with using it in front here of the conjugated form of pedir. Use it in front of the conjugated form of ir or in front of the conjugated form of pedir. The present tense of it is also common, but we're going to go mainly focusing on the pido, the yo form. So let's see what we have. We have the indirect object pronouns. Again, this is a person that's being asked to do something. This is the person that's doing the asking. And again, this is the person that's doing the asking. And then we follow with que, just like in a subjunctive sentence, a car, a hitch, a trailer. This would be the car. This would be the hitch, and the trailer would be verb number 8, opposite vowel, present subjunctive. And then, of course, here's the verb, the present subjunctive, we'll put these all into. Let's try one out here. Ayudar. My parents asked me to help. Mis padres me piden que ayude. I'm the person being asked to help. Who's doing the asking? My parents. Mis padres me piden que ayude. I am going to ask her to pay. Le, that's the person being asked. Le voy a pedir que pague mañana. I'm going to ask her to pay tomorrow. Le voy a pedir que pague mañana. They ask us always to be there first thing in the morning. We're the person being asked. They ask, nos piden que estemos allí a primera hora. A primera hora means first thing in the morning. If first thing in the morning is 6 a.m., then that's a primera hora. If it's 7 a.m., it's a primera hora. Whatever your first thing in the morning is for your job, that would be a primera hora. It can be different for different people and different jobs. Let's go with no decir, to not say. They ask me not to say anything. I'm the person being asked. They do the asking. Me piden que no diga nada. Me piden que no diga nada. I am going to ask her to not say anything. Le, the person being asked, I'm doing the asking. Voy a pedir que no diga nada. Le voy a pedir que no diga nada. Llevar. He is going to ask me to take him to school. I'm the person being asked. Me, he's going to ask me, va a pedir. Me va a pedir que lo lleve a la escuela. Every day she asks me to take her home after work. Todos los días ella me pide que la lleve a casa después del trabajo. Explicar. They are going to ask us to explain it. We're the people being asked. They are going to ask us. Van a pedir que. Nos van a pedir que lo expliquemos. I am going to ask you to explain it. Te voy a pedir que lo expliques. Okay? Reparar is to repair. I am going to ask her to repair it. Le, she's the person being asked. I'm doing the asking. Voy a pedir. Le voy a pedir que lo repare. I always ask my neighbor to repair my car. Siempre le pido a mi vecino que repare mi auto, mi carro, mi coche, mi vehículo, mi automóvil. Revisar, to check something out. I'm going to ask her to check it out. She's being asked, so le. I'm asking her, voy a pedir que. Le voy a pedir que lo revise. Le voy a pedir que lo revise. Okay? Again, this is the person that's being asked. This is the person that's doing the asking. And then what is being asked to be done is the que phrase with the present subjunctive. Quedarse. They are going to ask us to stay. Nos van a pedir que nos quedemos. I'm going to ask her to stay. Le voy a pedir que se quede. He always asks us to stay. Él siempre nos pide que nos quedemos. Callarse. I'm going to ask the kids to quiet down. Les voy a pedir a los niños que se callen. Les, the kids are being asked. I'm doing the asking. Voy a pedir que los niños se callen. Right? This is the person being asked, or the people being asked. This is who's doing the asking, and this is what you're asking them to do. Who is being asked? The person doing the asking, and this is what you're asking them to do. Okay, so let's go to column number 2, ahorrar. My parents asked me to save my money. Mis padres me piden. I'm being asked, they ask. Mis padres me piden que ahorre mi dinero. Pintar. I am going to ask them to paint our house. Who's being asked? They are. Les, I am asking, voy a pedir que. Les voy a pedir que nos pinten la casa or pinten nuestra casa. No irse. She's going to ask you not to leave. Te va a pedir que no te vayas. I'm going to ask them not to leave. Les voy a pedir que no se vayan. No quejarse. I'm going to ask him not to complain. I am going to ask him to not complain or not to complain. Le voy a pedir que no se queje. Venir. I'm going to ask everyone to come to the party. Les voy a pedir a todos que vengan a la fiesta. Trae. She always asks me to bring my books. She always asks me to bring my books. Siempre me pide que traiga mis libros. Tener cuidado, to be careful. I'm going to ask them to be careful. Les voy a pedir que tengan cuidado. No fumar. They're going to ask us not to smoke. Nos van a pedir que no fumemos. Hacer un favor. I am going to ask her to do a favor. Le voy a pedir que haga un favor. I am going to ask her to do me a favor. Le voy a pedir que me haga un favor. Using these object pronouns is like learning to tie your shoes at the beginning, but sooner or later becomes automatic. Okay, our last cluster, no gritar. I'm going to ask the kids not to shout. Les voy a pedir a los niños que no griten. Les voy a pedir a los niños que no griten. Llegar. They are going to ask us to arrive early. Nos van a pedir que lleguemos temprano. She asks us to write a lot of letters. Somebody's away in the Peace Corps or something, right? Doesn't have the internet, so you have to write letters. She asks us to write letters. We're being asked, that would be nos. She does the asking, pide, que, nos pide que escribamos cartas. She asks us to write her letters. Nos pide que le escribamos cartas. Comprar. I'm going to ask mom to buy some ice cream. Le voy a pedir a mamá que compre helado. See, that's how you're going to get. Le voy a pedir a mamá que compre helado. You hear these people, right? And you're like, holy Toledo, what was that? Le voy a pedir a mamá que compre helado. Le voy a pedir a mamá que compre helado. Recoger. I am going to ask you to pick me up at the airport. Te voy a pedir que me, we need opposite vowel and it's a J, recojas en el aeropuerto. Te voy a pedir que me recojas en el aeropuerto. Cuidarse. We are going to ask them to take care of themselves. Les vamos a pedir que se cuiden, no llorar. I'm going to ask him not to cry. Le voy a pedir que no llore. Le voy a pedir que no llore. I always ask her not to cry. Siempre le pido que no llore. So, first step is get your pronouns straight, right? This is the person being asked. Make sure you get that right. And then the verb is the person doing the asking. And then the last part is que plus what the person is being asked to do. Our next one, no llorar, no mentir. I always ask them to not lie. Siempre les. These are the people being asked. Who's doing the asking? I am. Siempre les pido que no mientan. Opposite vowel. Ser bueno. I'm going to ask the kids to be good. I am going to ask the kids to be good. Les voy a pedir a los niños que sean buenos. Ir. We are going to ask them to go to the beach with us. In English, right? We're going to ask them to go to the beach with us. What do you think about people learning English when you say, we're going to ask them to go to the beach with us? It seems fast to them too, right? But let's get this straight. We are going to ask them. Okay, them. They are being asked and we're doing the asking. Okay, so les vamos a pedir que. All right. Les vamos a pedir que to go to the beach with us. Que vayan al mar con nosotros. Or les vamos a pedir que vayan a la playa con nosotros. Acompañar. She always asks me to accompany her. In other words, to go with her. Ella siempre me pide que la acompañe. Me pide que la acompañe. Preocuparse. I'm going to ask my grandma to not worry. Le voy a pedir a mi abuela que no se preocupe. Escoger. It's another J verb when you go into the present subjunctive. I'm going to ask her to choose today. Le voy a pedir que escoja hoy. Okay, so the lesson again is how to use the verb pedir when you're asking someone to do something either in the present tense or in the irá plus infinitive in the present, right? Present irá plus infinitive. You're going to ask someone to do something or you ask someone to do something, right? So the pronoun tells us the person that is being asked. The verb tells us who's doing the asking. And then the que in the subjunctive tells us what the person is being asked to do. So look at it that way as a three-step process. Your pronoun, your verb, and the que phrase, the subjunctive phrase, right? It's getting pretty simple, right? The pattern is there. Subjunctive, 1, 2, 3. Car, hitch, trailer. Trailer, subjunctive, que is que, and the car is, in this case, a provocador in the present tense. Now, when you say I am going to ask, even though it's referring to future, boy is still in the present. So that brings on present subjunctive, verb number 8. All these verbs here are in the present tense. They bring on the present subjunctive. Pedir que is a provocador. When you ask someone to do something, it must be followed by the subjunctive. Now, if you want to say, I asked him to go to the party, then you got to go switch it into the past, right? Le pedí que fuera a la fiesta. We'll get into pedir in the past, but this is using pedir in the present, asking someone to do something, followed by present subjunctive, verb number 8, opposite vowel. Okay, hopefully this builds your skill, right, and your confidence in speaking Spanish, so you should be able to say who's being asked to do something, who's doing the asking, and what they are asked to do. So again, when you put your head down on the pillow tonight, toss around that verb pedir and try to create some sentences, right? You know you're going to end up in opposite vowel. You know you're going to start with the pronoun, the person being asked. Just make sure you get the verb right, okay? All right. If you don't get the verb right, it's like, that's like the engine, right? Not connecting with the drive shaft to the transmission, to the wheels, to the axles. It's all got to work together. Okay? Es todo por ahora. Cuídense mucho, los quiero. Mucho, muchísimo. I was going to use another word, but I thought, oh, Pablo, don't say that word. So I did not. I pulled it back. But anyways, cuídense mucho, los quiero mucho, sean buenos y tomen su agua. Hasta pronto. Bye-bye.